Last night on MasterChef Australia, a battle in the round had them cooking fast and furious.
It's the sound of the round, and it's panic!
But the pace proved too much for Craig.
Craig, I'm sorry. That means you're out of the competition.
There was one thing I was hoping to achieve, and that's to go out cooking something that I'm really proud of. And I think I've done that today.
Tonight, it's Masterclass. George's mum is back with a hearty Greek favourite.
This is my kitchen today.
And she won't be putting up with any nonsense.
You know where I will use that, Gary.
Gary shows how to make the best cuts
I'm going to draw a line straight there.
and turn them into mouth-watering dishes.
It's just simple, but it's really beautiful.
The revered Christine Manfield from Universal,
Thought we'd spice it up a bit after the lamb, yeah?
Yeah.
with an irresistible guide to essential spices.
The flavours are punchy. It's what I should be doing more of.
And a mouth-watering masterclass with Vincent Cadan.
Time for tasting.
To survive in this competition, you really need those extra techniques that George and Gary show us in Masterclass. It's somewhere where you can really pick up a few tips that could potentially help you in further challenges.
Welcome back to the MasterChef kitchen. It's where you get to watch George and I do a little bit of cooking and hopefully pick up some tricks and some other chefy kind of stuff.
A week of great action and great cooking leads us to this week's private masterclass. Two of you will get to meet up with Chef Vincent Cadan. But this time on his home turf. You'll see him work his first-class pastry magic as executive chef of Pastry. The two contestants that we're sending on this private masterclass have cooked some beautiful food this week to save themselves from elimination. Those two people are Alana, well done,
Thank you.
and Peter. Well, guys, enjoy yourselves.
We will.
Can you bring back a couple of little eclairs, please,
Yeah.
guys?
I'm super excited to head off on this private masterclass with Vincent at Pastry. Desserts, I love that. Pastries, even better. It's going to be fun.
I need all the pastry work I can get.
Earlier this week, we had a pressure test that meant so much to me. The cuisine was Greek, and our guest judge was someone that has given me the palate and love for food. And that person was my mother, Mary Columbaris.
Hello. How are you?
You good?
Nice, thank you. Nice.
Mary.
I don't...
How are you,
Good,
All right.
thank
You
you.
good?
Really nice.
Welcome. You've
Hello,
not been
everybody.
here before, have you?
No, I've never. What a lovely experience. Lovely. Very
You have to say morning, Mrs. Columbaris.
Just Mary will do, please.
You're going to cook us a little dish.
I can see what it is. It looks like moussaka, huh?
I think so.
Lovely. Now,
That's your recipe.
Oh, thank God for that. You're not.
It's funny that you say that, but
dear.
I was looking in my book, and I've got my version of a moussaka in here.
I was so angry every time he changed our recipes because...
That's my version.
Oh, hang on a minute. Let's look at that. It says crispy soft shell
Crispy
crab,
soft shell,
moussaka, smoked bone marrow, cherry puree, traditional tzatziki.
My God. It is completely different. It's very modernised, yours, isn't it? Mine is the...
Which one would Dad prefer?
I'm sure he'd prefer mine.
And you know which one I'd rather?
That's
Right.
gorgeous.
I'm gonna leave you.
You have to go because 3 cooks will spoil
the
the
broth.
moussaka,
You
but
crack in.
2 will just make it wonderful.
You crack in and I'll...
Thank you, darling.
I'll go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, have
See
a
you
cup
guys.
of tea. 1 for me. I love it.
So, Mum, what are we going to be making today?
Well, our traditional moussaka. It comes from the background of from Greece, from Cyprus, and this is plain, simple, and really, it's really an earthy meal.
Well, the first thing we need to make is the meat sauce.
The first thing is to prepare the eggplant.
Oh, OK.
So we can salter
I
it
guess you're running
and
the
let
show
it sit
today, aren't you?
and let it sit for a while.
Okay.
And then we start.
So
on the
you're
sauce.
basically saying you're the executive chef today and I'm the apprentice?
I'm the mum chef.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so tell me what the first step is.
The first step is to clean the eggplant, salter it.
Why do you salt it?
So it'll bring out all the bitterness, that has the eggplant, and then you start frying it.
Okay.
All right, but it's got to sit at least for about 15 minutes to half an hour.
With the salt on it?
With the salt on.
Eggplant, it's quite versatile in Greek cooking, isn't it?
Very versatile. You can have it with little dips and cut it in strips and dip it into and eat it raw. It's just a wholesome fruit.
Mary, just wondering why you didn't completely peel them, why you left some of the skin on.
You've got to leave a little bit of skin to make it look presentable. When you're cutting it, you can see that it's an eggplant. Otherwise, you might think it's potato if you clean the whole thing.
So we lay them out?
We lay them out. Get some salt, please.
We've got this fancy salt, Mum. Sprinkle some.
Sprinkle over, please. Thank you.
All right.
A bit more.
She likes her salt like her son.
That's it.
OK, and we just leave that for how long?
For at least 15 minutes to half an hour. You just cover it, and that brings all the bitterness out into that. And by having the chunks on top, it'll just draw it up on top as well.
Right, Mum. What's next?
We start with the sauce now to prepare our sauce. So first of all...
turn the pot on?
Yes, please, George. Some of your lovely olive oil.
We love olive oil, don't we?
Look, I'll cook with olive oil day and night, you know, no doubt about that. Okay. Now, the olive oil, I only put, whatever your pot is, you just put enough olive oil to cover your pot, about a 1/4 cup of olive oil in there, all right? Not too much, because you're going to get your fats out of your meats out of that, all right?
So what, not the onions?
Now, no, not the onion.
Oh, okay.
First, because that'll fry.
Yeah.
First, you put your 300 grams of lamb, 100 grams of pork, and 100 grams of veal.
Okay. Now, it's quite interesting, because I'd normally sweat the onions off first.
No.
Okay.
Because you're going to get the pot smelling onion, and once the meat goes in, it just fries the onion too much, right? Once this is gone really broken down and it changes the colour, then we're going to start putting all our other ingredients in. Do you want to clean the potatoes while you're waiting for me, please?
All right, no worries.
Now,
So, Mum, these potatoes are going to go in the moussaka?
yes,
And I'm just peeling them
just
first?
Just peel them, please, yes. Now we're adding the onion. 1 whole big onion.
Okay. Just diced up, yeah?
Diced, yes.
Now, can you make a vegetarian moussaka?
Yes, you can. I was going to say that. In the old days, they would only use the potato and the eggplant and the bechamel.
Yeah.
You can use different types of vegetables, like a bit of zucchini, mushrooms, celery, carrot.
What did you just put in now?
Now, I just added a garlic.
2 cloves?
2 cloves of garlic. Now, we're going to add our beautiful spices. Without these spices, moussaka does not taste as it should taste. Now, you need at least 1 good tablespoon of oregano, 1 tablespoon of thyme, and 1 tablespoon of rosemary.
Yum.
2 cinnamon quills.
Now, you put in cinnamon quills so you can take them out later?
Yes,
or?
exactly. If you put the dry, a teaspoon, it'll make the sauce very dark. So by putting the quill, it'll keep it to its lovely, beautiful red colour. Now, we're ready to put our chopped tomatoes, 250 gram. Stir that in. And then we got some tomato puree. We need at least 400 gram in that. And some tomato paste. In this one, I would only use 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Now, water, about 1.5 cups. Okay.
Great.
Simmering. Got to put that very low.
And that just ticks away gently, yeah?
You let it simmer for at least a good half an hour, and then your sauce is quite ready.
The next step, we've got to fry the potatoes and the eggplant.
We only want to just half cook them, not cook them fully.
How many potatoes, Mum, for one moussaka?
For one moussaka, you need at least 2 large potatoes, or if it's too large, 3 small ones.
So these were cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side?
Yes, definitely.
Until they're cooked through?
Until they're cooked through. It depends on your potato.
Right, let's have a look at the eggplant. All that moisture.
The moisture has come out, and it's just fantastic. So the bitterness is gone, and they'll taste so sweet and delicious. But prior to frying it, we have to take them and just place them back on that chucks and press them thoroughly.
So
There's
would you
no
not
liquid
wash them
on
in
them.
water?
No, because it'll draw like a sponge and it'll just be a ruined food.
And I know you sometimes, your Dad, just flour them and fry them and has them as like a little
Beautiful,
mezzette, yeah?
very nice. You can just lightly, gently flour it and fry it and just put it in a Pyrex dish with a little bit of vinaigrette and just serve it with garlic, and it's just lovely. It's a very light antipasto.
Yum. You're still leaving a little bit of sort of texture on them,
yes,
correct?
you have to leave it, otherwise you can't burn them.
Because they're going to cook again
yes,
in the tray.
in your tray,
And you don't want them too mushy.
No, no.
Okay, that's a good little tip. I mean, you know, a lot of people at home would generally cook them right through, then put them in the tray, cook them again, and then it's like mush. So you want still a little bit of texture there. So you're going to go through that bechamel, through the mince, through the eggplant, through the potato, and get some real good, lovely texture and flavour there.
I love doing these ones on the barbecue outside, actually. Just add a bit of olive oil and just put them on your barbecue outside, and even your potatoes too.
Fantastic. We're here with my mum, Mary, cooking moussaka, a dish that everyone should have in their repertoire. Now, we've made the meat sauce, the potatoes, eggplants are cooked. The next step is to make the bechamel. Mum, how do you make a bechamel? Well, your bechamel.
My bechamel sauce. Now, let's put the stove on first. Right. First, we add the butter.
Okay, how much butter?
100 grams of butter.
Yeah. So you melt that all the way down?
You melt it all the way down.
But you don't burn it?
You don't burn it, no. You just melt it right down. Then we're going to add our plain flours.
100 grams of plain flour?
100 grams of plain flour. Make sure you mix it thoroughly so the whole flour is all dissolved into the butter.
So basically you're making a classic roux.
A classic roux, yeah, exactly. And then we add 600 mils of warm, or you can not boil it, but just enough to take the chill out of the milk. When you put cold milk, it just goes all lumpy and it's hard to get it nice and smooth. And it's just lovely. No, I'm fine. It's nice.
She doesn't let me do anything in the kitchen.
George, this is my kitchen today, so please listen to Mum. Now, it's all beautifully and creamy texture.
Right.
The next thing we add, 100 grams of Greek cheese called, you have to pronounce this properly, kefalograviera. Okay? Now, if you go...
Kefalograviera.
But if you went to a deli, you just ask, could I have the cheese that's called head cheese? That's what it is. Kefalo, it's the kefali, the head. And they make it into like a big head. That's why they've named it years ago.
Mary, if we couldn't find it, what would be a good substitute?
Parmesan.
Yeah.
Parmesan, yes.
Now that looks a little bit thick. Do we add some milk to that?
No, we're going to add...
We've got milk here.
We just add a little bit of milk because it's a little bit thickened.
Yeah.
That's plenty.
Okay, just
Beautiful.
to loosen it up. And
We're going to add just the 1 egg.
And the egg's going to add it, make it nice and rich.
Rich, yes.
You know, make it nice and silky smooth.
Yes.
And when you cook it in the oven, it's going to set.
It's going to set beautifully. And while the egg is all dissolved into your bechamel sauce, and then you'll be fine. It's all nice and
Yum.
ready, see?
Okay, Mum, so the mince is made, the bechamel's made, our eggplant and potato are made. Now it's time to assemble.
It's all ready to assemble.
What's first?
First, we've got to add a little bit of our sauce.
Yeah. So you just, a thin layer, you don't have
Very
to cover
thin layer.
all of it, do you?
The next thing is you put your layer of your potatoes down the bottom. And it's nice to put them all in a row, like little soldiers. The reason is when you cut your moussaka, it comes out so beautifully and everything looks in lovely layers.
Nice and even.
Yes, and more mince. George, you know one thing? I've been watching the show, as you know. I'm a fan of yours here.
Yeah.
The thing is, you shouldn't be changing the flavours and changing the recipes, especially the Greek recipes, darling. You should stick to the proper recipes and don't bastardize them. I don't like that idea. So please, listen to me.
Oh, there's
Keep
going to
those
be
recipes.
some serious chats
Yeah,
after
we're
this show. Right, so
Now,
the
we've got a
eggplant's on.
layer of eggplant.
Yeah. You know what's great having my mum up in Sydney? I don't have to make my bed. It's like the good old days. It's great.
We just had another layer of potato. It's up to your choice, but because we've got a little bit extra, we can do that. It's more nice and more filling.
Okay. So you fill up that last layer of potato?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Then if you want, you can just lay these ones on top.
You don't like to waste anything,
No,
do
you don't waste, no. Unless you want to make 2 batches, but this one batch is going to be filling for at least good 6 people to come for dinner.
Hayden, I know your mum's a really great cook. Do you love cooking with her?
I do, yeah, George. It's great fun, and I can see a very similar interaction that you have with your mum, and it's the same sort of thing in the kitchen with me.
Who's the better cook, you or your mum?
Your mum.
Yeah, definitely mum.
Okay, Mum, so you put all your layers of meat, potato and eggplant in. Now, the last step is to put the bechamel, correct?
That's right. We
All
can
right.
add the bechamel on top.
Do you want me to help?
Yes, please. I know why you want to help. I want to lick the pot. That's it. George, that's rude.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So what's next?
Now, next, I'll just put that, thank you, George. There he goes again. Just grate a little bit of kefalograviera on top and you'll be fine. And then it's ready to be baked.
Okay, so put this in the oven, 180 degrees.
Yes, please.
And that's for about 45 minutes. So the moussaka's been in the oven. I think we need to eat it.
Oh, George, I'm just in time. Just in time for my little taster. I got the moussaka. This is a Moussaka spoon, okay? And everybody in the family has one of those.
You know where I will use that, Gary. It's not for my
How many times did you get hit with a wooden spoon?
Oh, heaps.
That looks absolutely delicious.
Here goes, everyone. Here's my moussaka.
Love it.
Food is for family to be shared, so please welcome and let's try our moussaka. Okay.
Have you got your Moussaka spoons?
They're all coming up.
Would you all take a fork, please?
Oh, sure. No problem.
Oh, that looks good. That looks beautiful. Eat. You do realise this is normally for one. This is one portion, so we're just splitting it up, just so you can taste.
That's amazing. The crunch on the cheese, too, with the egg and
You must cook the bechamel sauce on top. Put your griller on and just let it cook on top, and you'll be fine.
This is like the ultimate winter food.
Yeah.
I just want to get on the couch with a blanket and snuggle up and eat this.
Yes.
Good home cooking.
Beautiful. The bechamel is so much lighter than I was expecting. It looked really thick, but it's actually quite light in your mouth.
It's very light, the bechamel sauce. Nice, is it? Lovely.
I could eat the whole tray.
It is that sort of food that you just need a fork and a big fluffy couch.
This kind of food reminds me of home.
Good on you. I'm glad.
Beautiful.
Danny, what do you think of this?
This is the best masterclass ever.
Look at that.
I don't think we need it anymore. Are
We're
we?
done. Right.
Lovely. Always good. Nice.
Down, guys.
Beautiful.
How do you rate good food? By an empty plate. My top tips for my mum's moussaka. Top tip number 1, make sure you salt your eggplant so it removes all the bitterness. And top tip number 2, cook that mince out and check it for seasoning right at the end. Well, Mum, thanks for coming in, and I hope, guys, you've learnt something of her cooking, and that is to cook with lots of love. Thanks, Mum.
You're very welcome, son.
Today, Alana and I are going on our very first private masterclass at Petit's with Vincent Gadal.
I can't wait just to get in there, get my hands dirty and learn everything I can from Vincent.
Well, we're going to be learning all about pastry. This is a real hole in my knowledge, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Lovely to see you again.
You too.
I'm Vincent Gadal, and I'd like to welcome you to Petit's. I'm the executive pastry chef at Petit's. I love desserts because it brings a smile on people's face. Simple as that. To be a successful pastry chef, you basically need 3 things: passion, patience, and hard work. Peter, you don't mind if I call you Pierre?
No, that would be great.
Lovely Alana. How are you all? And I will teach you today the art of fine pastry. Today we're going to make 3 different tarts: a baked lemon tart, a salted caramel chocolate tart, and then we're going to finish up with frangipane and pear. How do you feel?
We're ready to go.
Yes, please follow me to my world.
Fantastic.
Thanks. All right, there's different way of doing sweet dough.
Okay.
The way I'm going to show you is the best way.
Great.
With this sweet dough, we're going to make 3 different tarts. So I want you to put 90 grams of butter. Use your finger, yeah? We're having fun today.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Then you're going to add your 50 grams of caster sugar, and I put already 1 pinch of salt.
It's already in there. Okay.
That's it. There you just want to blanch. Blanch means you make your mixture a bit lighter. Now, in this, I like to use vanilla beans. All right. This will be you, Pierre. Okay. Now, Alana. There we go. All you.
Mix it together?
Yeah, that's it. Keep on blanching a bit more, so it's nice and fluffy. So now, break your egg. Now you got 20 grams of almond meal. And then at this stage, 160 grams of plain flour. Just go for it.
Dump it all in?
All in, all in. So everything mixed together. All you have to do now, piece of plastic. There you go, Anna. Go for it. So obviously, we're going to use it very, very soon. So the flatter, the easier it will be, okay? Let's say within 2 hours, you'll be able to get back to it and start to roll.
Yeah.
This in the fridge to set.
Great.
There you go. Our baby is been in the fridge all year. So I want you to flour your bench, always. Don't go too crazy. Now, you put a bit of more flour on top. And then when you roll, make sure your dough has to be nice and freely. Lovely. How does it feel?
Good. Soft. Nice and soft, yeah.
Now, you tell me when you think you reach the right thickness.
I think mine might be thin enough.
I think that's about right.
That's about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Helena?
The right thickness?
I think you're about there. Yeah, see?
What thickness are we looking for?
Just follow your own instinct. Obviously, the bigger your tart, the thicker your dough.
Okay.
Now, at this stage, you need to do some holes into your dough.
Okay.
Lovely. Now, that's the mold we're going to use. That's a perfect size for it. Now, I want you to cut, let's say, 3 bases. You've got plenty of space. Lovely. That's it. Superb. So you see, for this recipe, you can probably do up to 6. Now, peel off the leftovers. Lovely. So take the base nice and gentle. I just let the dough go in the mold. Remember, don't give too much pressure to your dough. Then at this stage, take the rolling pin, go on top, and cut all the way, like this. Okay? See how easy it is to work with this dough?
Yeah, beautiful.
This will go in the fridge to set for, let's say, about an hour. Then we'll bake them at 160 degrees, between 20 to 25 minutes. Look at that, guys.
Yeah, they look great.
So that's what you want. See the color of it? Golden, not brown. Next stage, we're going to start by a baked lemon tart. I've got 30 grams of pouring cream. I've got a juice and a zest of 1 lemon. This to boil. Okay. While it's boiling, I've got 2 egg yolks here with 30 grams of castor sugar. Then you want to blanch your mixture. Now, my liquid's boiling, so put about half of the mixture into your egg yolks and sugar. Mix it through. Then back in the saucepan, and then back on the stove. Now what you want to do, you want to cook your mixture. You want to cook the eggs. See? Start to boil.
And it's starting to thicken too. Yep.
That's it. Okay? Now at this stage, take a fine sieve, put all your mixture through it. Lovely. Then I put 30 grams of butter. Mix it through. Okay, so now the curd is done. That will go in the fridge to chill out for about half an hour. And then we're going to start to pipe our tarts.
Okay.
All good?
Yep.
Lovely. Now I just have time to make the meringue. Here, I've got 2 egg whites. All right. Then I whisk it up. I've got 140 grams of castor sugar.
Okay.
Now it's very important when you do a meringue, you have to wait till you get to the ribbon stage before adding any sugar. Okay, see guys, ribbon stage?
Yeah.
That's a good time to add your castor sugar. Always the sugar in 3 times. I'm going to take out the curd from the kurum. See, nice and set. Now I can put a bit more sugar. See?
Okay. How much sugar is there in total?
I've got 140 grams. 140 grams for 2 egg whites.
Okay.
See that? Up the rest of the castor sugar that you're in.
Yep.
See the lovely curd we did earlier? See how beautiful?
Yep.
Nicely set it is.
Yeah, it's lovely. Nice and thick.
Into a piping bag. Lovely. All right. Lovely meringue's done. See, that's what you want. Nice and shiny and nice and thick. Now I take the base. At this stage, we don't need the molds anymore. I take the curd. Remember, it's nice and strong, yeah? Then I put this meringue into another bag. You can pipe it. Then you pipe it around.
Is there a trick to what you're doing? You make it look very easy.
There's no trick whatsoever. Just don't take yourself too seriously, yeah?
Okay.
There you go. Lovely.
Beautiful.
All right, guys, now you got your meringue on top. Okay? You either serve it like this or blowtorch it. What do you want?
Blowtorch.
Blowtorch.
Yeah? Should we do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you burn it, don't go too heavy. You just want a light color. Huh?
Great.
To finish it up, I've got some little zest here. That's the skin of the lemons and oranges, which I cooked into sugar syrup.
Okay.
And this is the one I dried out, so it's crystallized. Okay. So this can be one of your decorations.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Pierre, Alana, the lemon tart's done. Time for tasting.
Yeah.
Guys, dig into it.
Yum.
That
Is it?
really good.
And the lemoniness cuts through the sweetness. It's just...
See how strong the lemon was?
And the tart base is so crumbly. It's beautiful.
Happy so far?
Okay.
Each week in Masterclass, we like to cover off a few of the basics and teach you some of the stuff that, as a chef, are absolute essentials. Today, we're going to look at lamb. So that's what's inside this lovely little stocking here. I'm going to show you how to butcher the whole lamb and then go on to show you how to prep a couple of those primals. I'm going to do a rack of lamb, going to do a loin of lamb, and also a belly of lamb. Later on, we're going to cook those things. So the final dish, after all this butchery work, is going to be lamb 3 ways. This sheep has been dressed, which means obviously it's been sent to slaughter and they've prepared it to this point. They've hung it in this stocking. And even though it seems all pretty gory, you have to remember that this is what we eat if we eat meat, okay? And some people get really squeamish about this, but I think if you're introduced to the whole animal earlier on in your life, it's not such a shock, all right? So most obvious is the neck, and then the shoulders, the rack, the saddle, and the 2 back legs. First up, we're going to take the shoulder off. So what I do is I draw a line down, right? And then very neatly, straight down. So again, I'm going to do that on that side. Find out where that shoulder's moving and go, right, I'm going to draw a line straight there. And the whole process now is about using the knife just to sort of tease away first shoulder. Next bit, I'm going to remove the legs. Now, there's 2 hip bones in there. So what you do, let's do the other side. What I can do is just split the leg. So, the leg. So let's show you how I'm going to prepare the saddle and the rack. So first of all, let's take this rack. Now remember, there's 2 eyes of meat that run down what is the spine, okay, around that central piece of bone. So what you've got to do is you make 2 small incisions and then you draw your knife all the way down that central bone, all right, because it's like a T-section. What I want to do is remove the backbone from this rack. So what I'm going to do is just using the saw, is just clip down, making sure that I'm not going into the meat. So now it's starting to resemble a rack of lamb that you'd see in the butcher's shop. So we want to keep the bones, let's say about that long. And now I've got that breast of lamb. Next, I want to remove what they call the bark, all right? So I look at the eye of the meat, which is here. So I'm just going to take a point and I draw a line straight the way through it. I'm going to remove that, okay? So now you can see that's really starting to look like a rack of lamb. I need to remove the skin. The skin is quite a thin membrane, and the best way to get it off is to tease it, all right? Now the Frenching bit. What I do is I go all the way down on one side and then go the other way. Then what I do is I take that little piece of meat and I remove it along the inside of the rack of lamb. So this is the Frenching bit. I started at the front and I work my way around, and then when I get to the end, I clean the other side. All right? So that's a Frenched rack of lamb. Now I'm going to take these loins, right, which run down the centre of the saddle off the bone, okay? So first up, we're going to remove this little line of fat on the inside, and then find where that bone is, which runs right down the middle, and then draw a line with our knife right down, and then follow the bone. Remove one. These are the fillets. So you see how cleanly I keep that bone? Right? It's quite important. So same as when we did the rack, we identify where that little spine is, exactly the same way. You want to tease away with your knife. So saddle, loin. Right, what I'm showing you is how to roll and wrap this loin back into its own fat. So what I'm doing is I'm teasing that very thin layer of fat away from the loin without completely destroying it. All right, so that's about as far as I want to go. Now, to make it even thinner, what I do is I pop that fat in there, and then I wrap that little piece in cling film, and then just bat it in a methodical way so that it presses out that really thin membrane. So loin back together, a few little thyme leaves, and then we're just going to roll that up nice and tightly into that fat, all right? So I'm going to tie this. I'm going to do this very carefully. I always put a centre string, and then I put a string nearly at the end, and then 3/4 the way along. And then I bisect each one. And that's important because that'll keep, while it's cooking, that little membrane of fat will keep it moist, and it will dissolve away, and that string will keep it nice and tight so it sticks together. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to cook these 2 sweet cuts, but also these breasts of lamb, okay? So today I'm going to be making lamb 3 ways. So first up, the breast or the belly. Now this has got to cook for some time, all right? 120 degrees, about 3 hours. So we're going to put some thyme, we're going to break up some shallots and some garlic and just pop it in, season it, and chuck it in the oven. We don't need to add any oil or anything because it's going to confit down. So a bit of salt and pepper. And to be honest, this is one of my favourite cuts of lamb. It is just, by the time it's melted all that fat away, it's absolutely delicious. And you can tell it's cooked. You can almost just push your finger through it. You can just suck the meat off the bones. It's gorgeous, all right? So that, oven, 120 degrees for about 2.5 to 3 hours.
And this is what you end up with once it's cooked. And then it comes out the oven and it gets pressed between 2 trays. So you end up with this equal amount of fat and meat between all the layers. And then you crisp that back up.
Yeah, and all we did is, while it was hot, you can just push the bones out. It's a nice way of using up a piece of meat that often will just end up in the mincer, OK? Michael, you got a question?
The breast of lamb, is that like the pork belly? Different layers of fat and meat?
It's the same thing. All right, next up, we're going to show you how to cook these primary cuts, OK? The loin and the rack of lamb. So, season, bit of salt, bit of pepper, and hot pan, a little bit of olive oil. So in the lamb goes, and I'm going to put it fat side down into the pan, and then that loin, exactly the same way. What I want to do is I want to caramelise this first. I want to render the fat first. Because it's a small piece of lamb, it's going to cook really quickly. So I'm looking for that fat to be nice and crisp and golden, so it's getting there. And then I'm going to pop this in the oven just for about 4 minutes, just to make sure that it's just cooked through. And while that's happening, we'll go to George.
OK, the first thing that we're going to do is cut and cook this lamb belly. Basically, it's already cooked. Really, what we want to do is make it nice and crisp. OK, so I'm going to be a little bit chefy about it and trim it all up. Now, a little trick to cook this lamb belly so it doesn't stick to the pan is take a little bit of greaseproof paper, pop that down, and pop the lamb belly straight onto the greaseproof paper, OK? And that will get crisp. Just give it a couple of minutes.
So I've sealed that lamb all over, and so it's nice and golden brown. And we're going to pop that in a hot oven, about 180 to 200 degrees, only for about 6 minutes, OK? It's not going to take long at all.
Next step is to prepare our Jerusalem artichokes. And we're just going to fry these in a little olive oil. Now, the thing with this vegetable is it does oxidise quite quickly. So if you were to prepare this in advance, just a little bit of lemon juice and water just over the top so it doesn't go brown. OK, so a little bit of oil in the pan. Our artichokes go in. So we're just going to start them off, get them nice and golden brown, and then we're going to throw in some garlic, some shallots, and make them really beautiful.
I think my lamb rack and loin will be close to ready. They've been in for about 6 minutes so far. Absolutely gorgeous. So remember, I want these to be a little bit pink. I'm going to rest them for half the time that I've cooked them, roughly. I'm just going to put a little bit of that lamb fat over the top and just leave that for about 3 to 4 minutes.
Right, so we've fried our Jerusalem artichokes off and they're nice and golden brown. We've got some of these golden shallots that you've cooked in the oven, Gary, yeah?
That actually went in with the lamb.
OK.
So I put whole shallots, whole garlic in,
Yum.
and they cooked over 3 hours and just confit down.
And then some of this garlic as well, which we'll just...
Yep, just pop a few out.
And a few pistachios. So at that point, everything looks absolutely wonderful. A couple of knobs of butter, because that's just going to give it some nice shine and some nuttiness as well. And just some little leaves of thyme. And you hear that noise, the cracking of the thyme as it goes into the butter. It's just releasing all that thyme flavour into those shallots, the garlic, and the Jerusalem artichokes. And at that point, we're ready to plate up.
All right, let's just clip these little strings off. And this is the loin, obviously. So string off.
That's beautifully prepared.
It's nice, isn't it? And then George and I just have to have a little piece. So can you see all the fat has dissolved away, and what you're left with is just this pure little loin of lamb.
That looks beautiful.
Lovely. All right, then we're going to cut the rack. So we just want a nice double cutlet off this one. And then we can smear away.
This is an eggplant puree with a little bit of garlic tahini.
So we've roasted the eggplant in a tray. We've scraped it out, added a bit of sesame paste, added a bit of tahini, all right? A little bit of lemon juice, and that's it. Really, really simple, nice and clean. And then we're just going to pop on these pieces of lamb. So we've got the shallots, we've got the roasted garlic, which cook with the belly, and then those 2 sweet cuts, those 2 primary cuts, which is the loin and, of course, the rack. And I've also made some brown breadcrumbs, like a little crumble. I call them chapelure in French. They're a roasted breadcrumb. And all I've done is cook those in butter until they're nice and crumbly.
And that will add some amazing texture to the dish, won't it?
A few little herbs.
And a little bit of jus.
Yep, love it. I'm hungry. So you've learned how to butcher a whole lamb and turn it into a beautiful little dish, which is lamb 3 ways. Right, let's get a few people up here to taste this beautiful lamb dish. Michael, Hayden, and Danielle. Okay, Danielle, taste away.
Yum.
Yeah.
I love the lamb breast, and then with the jus, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And the Jerusalem artichoke, I absolutely love that.
I really like the nuttiness of the little breadcrumbs, and it's just simple, but it's really beautiful.
Good stuff. Hayden?
The lamb just speaks for itself. It's all about the lamb and then those little things that bring it all together, and it just makes it a really special dish.
Okay, guys, back to your seats. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So my top 3 tips. You must know how to break down a whole beast. It gives you an appreciation of where it comes from, and it will save you money. Number 2, you must learn the difference between the sweet or the primary cuts and the secondary cuts. Point number 3, an advanced technique like that noisette of lamb, that is bankable. You use that in this competition, could make all the difference.
Okay, our masterclass today, it's out of pastry. We already done sweet tart bases. Now we're gonna move on to the second recipe, salted caramel and chocolate tart. First up, we're gonna make salted caramel, the actual fillings for the inside of the tart. The first thing we're gonna do, then here I've got 115 grams of caster sugar and 45 grams of glucose. Then I put it on the stove to caramelize.
Okay. With the caramel, what are we looking for?
What you're looking for, Pierre, you need to reach the right color.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, it's golden brown.
Yeah, it's golden.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
It will start to smoke a little bit. Don't be alarmed. Doesn't mean your caramel is burning. Now, what do you think about this color? Lovely?
It's a nice colour.
Yeah?
It's a really bronze colour. It's beyond golden.
Now, slowly, you add 100 grams of pouring cream. Can you smell
I
the
can
love?
smell that caramel flavour. It's beautiful.
Then I just add 8 grams of salt.
Okay.
And then to this beautiful mixture, add 20 grams of unsalted butter. Stirring it through. Okay, then this mixture will have to go to the cool room to cool down. Now, salted caramel, nice and chilled. Now, all you do, you pour a little bit of this salted caramel. I would say that's a fair amount. And what I like to use inside a caramel, peanuts. Don't use them salted. There's no point.
No.
And this, go in the fridge to chilled. Let's say 10 minutes. Chocolate ganache. I've got 80 grams of pouring cream to boil. Here I've got 50 grams of dark chocolate and 25 grams of milk chocolate. Okay, so the cream's boiling, right? Chocolate straight in it, mix it through in a saucepan. Huh? So the heat of the saucepan will help the chocolate to actually melt. Just stir it through till you got no more chocolate remaining. Then here I've got, Alana, what is it?
Butter.
Oh.
Love.
Exactly. Which I've got 14 grams here. Okay, now the ganache is ready. Now we'll be able to assemble a tart. The caramel is chilled. I've got a lovely ganache. So you're going to put it straight on top of each one. There you go. Second one. This will go in the fridge, I will say 20 minutes. Okay, look at that. Lovely, ready to go. So then that's in chilled. Here I've got lovely nougatine, which is a mix of caramel and nuts. And voila.
Beautiful.
Okay, guys, salted caramel and chocolate tart is done. Oh, yes.
Oh,
that's what you want,
beautiful. Wow.
Happiness?
Yeah.
All the way through?
My mouth's
It's
watering.
chocolate, I'm happy.
How about we move on to the last one?
Sure.
Finally, guys, frangipane tart, one of my favorites. Now, what I use, 750 mils of white one. So into a saucepan on a stove, okay? Then this, here, I've got 300 grams of honey. I've got 250 grams of castor sugar, bay leaves. I love star anise. Star anise go very well with pears. And this, black pepper, lovely. Then when it starts to boil, add half a liter of water and the beautiful pears, okay? Right in, cover it. Now it will take about half an hour to an hour, all depending on the size of your fruits and how ripe they are. In the meantime, we're gonna make our frangipane. Here I've got 25 grams of unsalt butter. This add 25 grams of castor sugar. And then I'm gonna blanch the whole thing. Then now add 1 egg yolk, 25 grams of almond meal, 7 grams of plain flour, and one of my favorites, rum. You can't do almond cream without rum. Mix it through, and your almond cream or frangipane ready. Smell it.
You can smell that rum.
Smells great.
So that's, we move on to the next stage.
Okay.
Look at those lovely pears. They're done, nice and al dente, not too soft. I'm gonna take them out of their juices. Now, I'm using a melon scoop, okay, to actually take the inside out. With that, you have to be careful without breaking the pears. And then I cut all around like a little fan.
You could really have those fans as thick or as thin as you like, couldn't you?
Exactly. And then frangipane or almond cream, a bit on the bottom. Lovely pears goes in. And this, back in the oven, probably take 20 minutes at 150 to 155 degrees. Time for tasting.
Yeah.
Frangipane and pear tart.
It's beautiful. It's so soft.
It's a really delicate flavour. It's beautiful.
My top 3 tips in pastry will have to be precision, follow through your recipe, be patient, don't be scared to fail, and I will say be very passionate. Everything you put in it, put a lot of love, and somehow the love will come back to you. Guys, I had a blast. I don't know about you. So excited to see you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you soon again. Pierre?
Thanks very much.
Alana,
Thank
lovely
you.
to see you.
Thank
Au
you.
revoir.
Thanks so much.
Au revoir, guys. À bientôt.
We've noticed during the competition that a few of you struggle with the balance of flavours, especially when it comes down to spices, about getting it right. So we figure that you might need a little bit of help. We've invited a lady who's affectionately known as the Queen of Spices to come and explain some of the essentials of cooking with spices. Her restaurant was nominated as one of the top 10 restaurants in the world. I'm talking about the incredible Christine Manfield. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you? You good? Oh, another
Very
one.
well, thanks.
I was just about to say, you remember the restaurant? Yeah. What's it say?
Universal.
Universal. Okay. Just
Don't
in
forget.
case you missed it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very.
Thought we'd spice it up a bit after the lamb, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Christine, what are you going to show these guys today?
I'm going to show you my 10 most essential spices that I have in my cupboard and that you should all have in your cupboards too for cooking. I'm going to blend some of the spices together to make a satay spice paste and use that paste to make a turmeric stir-fried squid.
Now, you've picked your top 10. Do you want to tell us what they are?
Yep. We'll start over here at the front. Saffron, which are the little stamen of the crocus. Takes 220,000 to make a kilo, which is why it's more expensive than gold. It's got an incredibly pervasive aroma and also flavour. It's sweet, it's savoury, it's really complex. Next we have the most essential. I don't think there'd be a kitchen cupboard anywhere in this country or anywhere in the world that doesn't have black pepper. Okay, next one we're having a look at green cardamom. When you're ready to use the cardamom, you just crack it open in a mortar and pestle, and it's the little seeds inside, the oily, viscous seeds that have got all the flavour. This is one spice that you use sparingly. Too much of it, and it just wipes out anything else. Okay, next we've got cinnamon, which is a bark. The bark is peeled off and rolled into quills. It's a very sweet, very fragrant and aromatic spice. It's used in savoury and sweet cooking. So when you're using pieces like this is when I would put it into a stock or to a marinade or poaching fruit. But if I want to put it into a milk preparation for a dessert, I will have the ground stuff. This is another of the peppers that are used around the world. It's from China. It's Szechuan pepper. Technically, it's not a pepper. It's a berry from the prickly ash tree that's got lots of thorns and they have to be very carefully picked. It's one of those spices that's very tingly. If you use too much, you can numb your palate. And it's lemony. Okay, now we get on to one of my favourites, chilli. When chilli is fresh, it's an aromatic and it's used in the same way as ginger, garlic, etc. When it's dried, it becomes a spice. The general rule is the smaller the chilli, the hotter it's going to be. Okay, now we've got fennel, aniseed, licorice, sweet. It's fantastic with fish. Fish and fennel go really well together. We've got turmeric here. This is another one like chilli. The turmeric, when it's fresh, is an aromatic. Then when it's dried, it becomes a spice. Not only does it add colour, it is about flavour. Here we have cumin. It has a very noticeable perfume and aroma and flavour. It's an important one to put into spice blends because it really sort of makes its presence felt. You don't need to use that much of it. Last but not least, a spice cupboard would not be complete without vanilla. It's a tropical orchid. They're very, very slow growing. It takes about 8 years for the first crop to come up. And by splitting the bean in half and opening it, you've got hundreds of thousands of tiny little black specks in there, which are the seeds. And that's where the flavour is. Yep.
So what's first? I think you know what we need to do is pull out a volunteer, I think, from this group to help make this spice paste, yeah?
So the first volunteer today, I will have Kate. You can come down and learn how to dry roast whole spices.
Oh, I'd love to.
So what we're going to do is we put a heavy based pan onto heat. Now the heat has to be very, very low. The lowest setting possible. All whole spices are have volatile oils, and if you put them onto too much heat, they will burn. So you take the whole spices, so put the cumin in first, and just sprinkle it around the pan. And then the fennel. Then the pepper. And then last of all, the coriander seed. So in the pan, we've got 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of fennel, 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns and 2 teaspoons of coriander seed. Just give them a little, you know, sort of, not a violent toss, but just or the other way is with your fingers like that.
How long would you expect this to take?
Probably about 1 minute, one more minute, so 2 minutes all up here. Okay. You just watch and you can see how they start to change colour slightly. They start to darken, but you should also, it's about the fragrance. So we'll turn that off. And we let that cool just for a minute or two, and then we put it into the mortar and pestle. Now you need to employ a little muscle power. So would you like to start to break the spices a bit? And then start to move the pestle around.
You can smell it a lot now.
Got a sweat up there yet?
Yeah, nearly.
I think you're there now.
Okay.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to put together our satay paste. So first of all, we need to chop the fresh turmeric.
And how fine do you want to chop it?
Just a rough chop. The reason I'm not putting the whole pieces into there because we don't want to overwork the blades. So yeah, just a chop like that. We want a couple of tablespoons of the fresh turmeric. And then we can put in the kaffir lime zest. A couple of teaspoons.
Okay.
We'll put a little bit of the coconut. The liquid will just help to...
just get it all moving.
Yes. 200 mils of coconut milk.
So is that enough, do you think?
Yep, that's perfect. It's nice and smooth. There's no lumps in there.
So what's in next? What are you going to pop in next?
We're going to put the spices that Kate ground up.
All of that?
Yep, all of that.
So there's about a tablespoon and a half in
yeah. And next we're going to put the other ground spices, the ground chilli.
Which is about a teaspoon,
Teaspoon, yeah. And 2 teaspoons of ground turmeric and some salt. Salt is essential for bringing out the flavour of spice. It makes the spices dance. And we've got 2 teaspoons And at the same time, we'll put in the palm sugar, which I've just shaved with a knife, and we'll just put it into the blender to break it down to make it nice and smooth.
And how much was that? Was that about a tablespoon?
That was about, yeah, a tablespoon.
About a tablespoon?
Yeah. Yep.
Sound all right? I think that should
Sounds good, yeah.
sugar's gone.
We're going to cook it anyway, so if there's any little bits of sugar left in there, don't panic at this stage. It's just about making sure that it's nice and smooth.
That smells absolutely wonderful. What's next?
We're just going to cook it off a little bit just to bring the flavours out a little bit more. So we heat our pan up first. So we're putting it into the pan and we want it to basically bubble straight away. And we're just going to cook it out for about 5 minutes, and this just brings out all the flavours.
We're here with Christine Manfield, and we're going to cook a beautiful turmeric stir-fried squid. And of course, this is part of her little lesson in her 10 essential spices that she'd have at home. And then from those spices, this lovely little satay spice mix. So what are we going to do? What's the first part of this quick and simple dish?
We just need to prepare our squid.
OK.
And there's different ways you can cut it to tenderise it, but we're going to score it today into long strips.
So I think we need a volunteer.
Let me see. Billy, the boy in the cap, he can come down today.
The big boy in the cap. Come on, Billy.
Are you familiar with working with squid, or is this one of your first goes at it?
I've done a few times.
You have?
Yeah.
I'll just show you the first one. When you turn it over, you'll see a really fine seam, and we just basically cut in half, like that. Open it out. I'll do one side, you can do the other, OK? So what we're going to do to score it is we're going to use our knife and cut on a diagonal, and this is going to tenderise it so we can cook it very, very quickly and so it doesn't go rubbery. OK, now we need to do the other way to get a diagonal. So we turn it around and go the other way. So you can see a little crisscross pattern. Now this is too wide for cooking, so what we need to do is then cut it into long ribbon lengths like that. Okay? And when you open it, you can see it's scored quite evenly. And we'll just put that into our bowl.
Very fine lines.
Okay, over to you, Billy.
No stress.
Your left. Just remember, don't cut right through.
Yeah.
Keep the blade on an angle and just press gently and keep the cuts as close together as you can.
Okay.
You're doing pretty well there, first go at it. Excellent. Okay, and then just lift them with your knife and put them into the bowl. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Billy did a good job there. He's quick too, isn't he? OK, Christine, the squid's done. It's all been scored. Now, you've got a couple of other ingredients other than the spice mix you've made. You've got some chopped garlic and chilli. And then you've got this interesting-looking stuff here, which is tamarind. That's a... Yeah. You want to explain what that is?
It's a pod from a tree. When you split it open, it's got this, like, resin-type substance in the centre. You buy it like this in a block, put it into some hot water, 1 part tamarind, 3 parts water, and then just pass it through a sieve so that you end up with tamarind water. OK, so we've got our squid here. We're just going to put some satay paste, just enough for that squid. So probably, I would say, for that amount of squid, 2 tablespoons. Just enough to coat, really. The garlic and the chilli go in because they're all going to cook in exactly the same amount of time.
So, Christine, what did you put in there?
3 small cloves of garlic minced and 2 little bird's eye chilies. So heat your wok up first. We want it to go on, be very quick. The whole process is going to take probably 1.5 minutes max. Just a small amount of oil so that we don't burn the paste. I've just used vegetable oil here. You could use grapeseed oil, any oil that's going to allow you to cook at a high temperature. In goes the squid. You can see what's happening with the squid. It's sort of gone into tight little ringlets. And as we're just about ready, in goes some tamarind and a little bit of ketchup mayonnaise or sweet soy.
So you put in about 2 tablespoons
of tamarind and about 1 tablespoon of sweet soy.
Beautiful. So what's next?
Now we're just going to add a few herbs. So I've got some coriander cress and some mint cress here. This goes into the pan after you've turned the heat off. OK, now just working with your tongs straight onto your plate And then if you want, you can put just the tiniest bit of extra cress over the top. And there's my turmeric stir-fried squid.
So who wants to taste it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Oh, George, you're back, huh?
Hey, hey, hey.
Okay, let's get Billy. Up you come. Ellie.
Hey.
And Danny.
Oh, yes.
Okay, taste.
You know, I love that scoring. For me, really makes that dish because it carries all the flavour inside of it.
Yeah.
It tastes absolutely delicious.
It's just punchy. The flavours are punchy. It's what I should be doing more of.
Just millions of flavors, spices, just slowly one by one come through.
I love that amount of chili as well.
Yeah, it's
like
really...
it's there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not overpowering,
yeah.
Well, that's the seductive world of spice. It gets you in and you can see, you can go off in 1,001 different directions with it.
Is it too hot for you, George?
Oof, it's just hit me now.
Just off here, look.
But I love it. I just can't get enough
It's
of it.
beautiful.
So yummy.
Strangely, there's 2 bits left.
Kate needs to get some. She roasted them.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, come on, Kate, come up.
Oh, that is just so nice.
Do you guys want to take that around and let everyone have a dip their finger in?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my top tips when you're working with spice or cooking with spice. Tempering, low heat. Be careful of the volatile oils. Make sure your heat is at the lowest possible setting. And when you're storing spices, when you buy them in small quantities, store them in airtight containers, away from light, heat and humidity. They're the 3 enemies of spice.
Christine Manfield, thank you so much for coming in and showing us that beautiful recipe, taking time out of your restaurant, Universal. And I've got a feeling you should bottle that. Paste, maybe.
I do.
Oh, do you? Thanks so much for coming in, and hopefully we'll see you soon. How about that?
Thank you.
Great
Thanks,
to see you.
everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.
Right, guys, it's been a massive week. Come forward, grab some food, let's celebrate. Who wants some white wine? Right, guys, listen up. Another cracker week here in the MasterChef kitchen. But I think I've been reinvigorated this week personally, seeing my mum and seeing how much she loves food. And that's why I love it so much. I hope you guys have learnt something from that experience. And of course, the rest of the week was all about putting your heart on the plate. And I think you guys did. That's why you're standing here. That's why you're the top 12. And we are so, so proud of you. The group is getting smaller. It's a lot more intimate. And you know what? Gary and I are really falling for you all. But the question is, let's get down to business. Who is going to take out the #1 spot? It could be any single one of you. But in saying that, what a cracker week. Congratulations.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Next time on MasterChef Australia. There's no shelter. There's no kitchen. And just one thing on the menu. Lamb. But when 200 hungry locals turn up for lunch,
Oh my God.
the real challenge begins.
They're coming!
Oh my goodness, that's so scary.
4.5 hours of hard work comes down to this.
Winning votes with the best food. And those that get it wrong
That is so raw.
will face elimination.